This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am here with Transformed Hearts Counseling Center. Since 2008, they have been changing lives with a message of hope, both locally, nationally, and globally. I'm here with the executive director. Corey, thanks so much for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. For nearly a decade, you have been immersed in the industry of sexual addiction. Share with me how this got started for you.
Well, it started with our own story, and we're originally from the Lincoln, Nebraska area, and we were 6 years married, began to have troubles in our own marriage with lust, emotional affairs. After that, began to realize I had a problem with sex addiction and what we later found to be intimacy anorexia. From there, we started to get some help. And we had been, like I said, about 6 years married, 3 kids, and things really unraveled for us. So we came out here to Colorado Springs, got some help. That was back in '08, and 4 years later, we're back out here with our own practice, helping other couples and individuals get free from sex addiction and intimacy anorexia.
This began as a personal journey, which became professional. Let's start off, first of all, define for the viewers, in layman's terms, what is sexual addiction, and is it something that maybe is more common than people realize?
Yeah, it's very common. I believe it to be an epidemic in our culture. It's like any addiction. It's you just pick your poison. So like any addiction, I need a substance to reach an altered state, and I need more of that substance more often, and finally I've tried to stop, but I can't. That's how we clinically define an addiction. So whether it's drug, sex, or alcohol, caffeine, gaming addictions, it's all one of the same. The core issues are generally the same. The poison which you acted out changes, though.
One of the other areas of expertise that you have that definitely is worthy of definition would be intimacy anorexia. Tell me a little bit about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, intimacy anorexia is an intentional withholding of love from a spouse or partner in a married relationship. Okay, so there's generally 4 reasons one might become anorexic. One is growing up, the child or now adult has inappropriate attachment, too much or too little, to the opposite gender parent. So we use it to mean a starvation of love in the adult relationship. So this adult has gone through maybe some poor parenting, some trauma, physical, emotional trauma, and this all sets that one's child, now adult, that helped them protect themselves, survive their childhood, are now generally the very things destroying the marriage. So it's an intentional withholding of love, sex, even emotions. It's a person that likes to blame, accuse, criticize their partner. So they have a very difficult time embracing that they are flawed in love. Generally, an intimacy anorexic they believe that they got to be perfect to be loved. And so what they do is they flip all the badness onto the partner, that their partner's the problem. And we see this a lot, in fact, of sex addiction, that people that come to our office, whether it be here in the Springs or in Denver, percentage of people that come for help also struggle, know us for sex addiction and marriage issues, the sort, but 64% of those people coming for sex addiction help are also intimacy anorexic. So it's very high. 6 out of 10 that are going to get sex addiction help generally are getting help for only half the problem. So intimacy anorexia is a huge, huge problem that also you need to work on both addictions simultaneously to get the effective treatment the couple or the individual is looking for.
Really, the two go hand in hand. Obviously, we as the public, we're familiar with addictions. We understand alcohol addiction, drug addiction, gambling addiction, yet we don't talk much about sexual addiction. I mean, it's a taboo talk. For that reason, do you feel that we don't know enough about it and therefore might not even realize that we have it?
Yeah, there's a lot of bad information out there. One of the things I like to teach and educate our clients is what I call there's good plumbers and bad plumbers. There's good doctors and bad doctors. There's good therapists and not so good therapists out there. But the addiction is less known because it is very taboo. So It's almost cool and socially acceptable to be an alcoholic or a drug addict, but to be a sex addict is usually equated with being a pedophile. And it's a matter of educating the culture. I used to work corrections. I've worked in the population of pedophiles. Now, I would say most pedophiles are sex addicts, but not by far, not all sex addicts are pedophiles, obviously. A very small percentage are.
Let's start off with your services a little bit. Someone that does come in for treatment, what takes place at that first appointment? Is there an assessment that takes place? Walk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. The initial assessment, it takes a typical therapeutic hour, and we can do that as an individual or as a couple, and we get through very quickly what I have found almost probably 6 sessions worth I'll do in about 30 minutes of assessment and exactly know what's going on, have the picture, have the story, and be able to help them and have a plan in place. And we have lots of resources and such and different ways to plug the person in at their level of resources they want to spend in time and money on their treatment.
Because of lack of education, like we said, many times people don't even know they have an addiction like that. Yet, I would imagine others walk in, they know they have it. They know it's serious. Matter of fact, they're even shamed by it. They feel there's no hope. What you basically say is there's always hope. You have provided a shame-free environment. Why is that important?
That is hugely important, because most people come in already, they know their badness. And we, not only the spouse or the addict, but also the spouse of the addict are dealing with a lot of shame. And shame says you are the mistake. Guilt says you made a mistake, but shame is very much even more powerful in that you are the mistake. And so we want people to have a safe, know that we are a safe place, and this we know what they're going through, and we have always said we want our pain and our story not to be wasted.
Interesting. Really the essence of what you do here is loving and helping people for who they are and not for what they do. Is that something that you felt helped you on the road to recovery?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of intimacy anorexics believe they are loved for just what they do and performance, but we want to emphasize that regardless of what they've done or haven't done in life, that their love for just who they are. And people really resonate with that because the society wants to put a label on you. That is not our goal here. We're not here to label anybody. We're here to identify the problem and the addiction. And a lot of people struggle with, am I a sex addict? Am I intimacy anorexic? And I'm okay with if the person believes they're not, but I define, does this behavior cause a problem? And there's 5 areas of a problem. So does the drug, sex, or alcohol behavior affect my job? Does it affect my money? Does it affect my legal status? Have I ever been arrested or anything? Does it affect my health? And finally, does it affect my relationships with God, self, others, spouse? And generally it's that last one that brings most people to Transformed Hearts, is what I call the 2 Ps, pain or priority. I would say 90% come here out of pain, and about 10% come here because it's a priority to change. But after time, for the ones that really go the distance in our program, it becomes an internal desire to change. This is a priority to them.
Speaking of change, you basically say that God does not waste your pain. Explain what that means.
Well, I believe suffering and pain is part of counseling and recovery and the human experience. I think as a culture we run from pain. Pain is to be avoided at all costs. But pain is not a bad thing. We believe sex addiction, intimacy, anorexia actually be a gift that can either bless you or destroy you. Now, if you make the right choices, it can really bless you. So that's what we mean here when we say your pain is not going to be wasted, because it's much like fertilizer. People come in here with a big manure pile, but over time that fertilizer becomes good soil for a garden that's going to be built by you and you're going to be able to bless others and give it away and help others.
It has to be actually a relief for people to understand they're sitting across from a therapist who is not judging them, not shaming them, really, at the end of the day, getting them to a point where they can look in the mirror and pretty much like who they see.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's part of our story. We want to show empathy, love, compassion. But at the same time, when couples come in or individuals, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on the side of sanity. And most couples struggle with codependency. They have a sick system. And it's not just about the addict. It's also about the partner, the spouse of the addict, because we believe here that, again, that's a gift that is going to be used not only to heal the addict, but also the partner.
Interesting. As a married man myself, I would have to say that one of the mistakes we tend to make is we compare ourselves to the Joneses. We compare ourselves to the other couple. Look what they're doing. That's good. Look what they're doing. That's not good. Yet, one of the pillars that you built here is wise versus foolish. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, we have 4 pillars we live by. So when a couple comes in, a lot of couples are caught up in right and wrong and materials they read. So-and-so says this, is this right and wrong? And I want to move couples out of right and wrong thinking, but into what we call wise or foolish. What's wise for you as an individual or as a couple may be foolish for the next couple. So I want to empower them to think in that. We get out of fault versus responsibility. I really don't care who's at fault when a couple comes for help. I want to know who's going to be the responsible one, who's going to be the mature one. We also call happy versus holy. We believe marriage and relationship is not just necessarily to make you happy, but to make you holy spiritual, but also holy in physical, emotional wholeness, spiritual wholeness. And then finally, I'm not all that interested in what a couple wants, what the spouse wants from the other. I'm more interested in what are they each bringing to the table? What are they willing to give to the process? And from there, we stay within that. Things go pretty well.
So ultimately, this isn't about what I'm wanting from my partner. This is more of what am I willing to give up or willing to give my partner. Matter of fact, the addiction itself is a selfish act. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to make ourselves happy instead of, like you say, making ourselves holy. Is this sometimes a surprise for a lot of people when they walk out and realize this is a total mind shift?
Absolutely. It's especially for the partner of the addict who's really hurt and angry, has been betrayed through the sex addiction, and they want justice, and the toughest thing you're going to have to do if you come to Transformed Hearts is not deal with your partner, but to deal, or the clinician, it's to deal with yourself and owning ugly. The toughest thing you're going to have to do in this process is look in the mirror. And as you do that and take responsibility for yourself and ask the questions, why am I not changing? When am I going to change as compared to when is my spouse going to change and why are they not changing? That is what I also call the victim mentality, the victim cycle. And that person or that couple generally will not get better as long as they stay stuck there.
Interesting. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their contact information. This is a company that began back in 2008. They've expanded out into their own building, basically expanding out across the nation. They've got offices here in Colorado Springs, offices in Denver, but with technology, they can reach out pretty much to anyone across the globe, help you along a journey that basically can many times leave you confused or not knowing what it is you're going through. They offer general counseling, group counseling, intensive counseling, also supervision. You understand that basically as I look at something like this, a lot of times addictions they're kept in the dark. And many times the partner's kept in the dark, a lot of secrecy. They say the truth will set you free. Share with us how the tool of a polygraph really helps you enabling that.
Absolutely. We do use the polygraph. We got a great polygrapher we work with. And it's not to catch the person. We want the addict to pass. But generally, I have worked with couples from all over the globe and all over the nation. And I've been people's 20th, 30th therapist. And in every case, the reason that couple has not gotten better is because there is still a secret. Now, sometimes it's not always the addict's secret. It can be the partner's secret, too. And sometimes both will take a polygraph, but the majority of the time, just the addict. And we believe it's to be a loving thing to show that they love their spouse by being honest and transparent and open. It can be a very scary thing, but we have questions to help the couple with. What it does is it doesn't measure future, it doesn't measure fantasy, and it doesn't measure feelings, but it does get you just the facts. Did you or did you not do X, Y, Z? And we ask questions like who, when, where, but we do not get into questions about comparison. Those are the damaging ones and the non-helpful questions. And once we get that done, I call it demolition work, we can start rebuilding and putting the house back in order.
I would imagine that has to be one of the scariest rooms to walk into, yet there's got to be a sense of relief when you walk out of that room, knowing that you're once again eye to eye. There's no secrecy there. We speak a lot about people who need counseling with addiction, yet I believe counseling, everyone benefits. I mean, quite honestly, we all probably fall under the umbrella of an offended heart. Tell me what an offended heart is for the viewers.
Yes, that is another thing we specialize in. We specialize in other addictions. One of these is the addiction to being offended, or the offended heart. And I believe in the many, many years of practice and all the addicts I've worked with over the years that we've made some groundbreaking discoveries, and we write our own material. We're very unique in that. We aren't just reading material, we are leading the way, pioneering the way in addiction recovery. And the main thing is the addiction to being offended. I believe underneath any and all addictions, it all starts with the person believes they've been offended at some level, real or imagined, that they have to work through and let go of and come to a place of forgiveness.
Like you basically said, your information is straight from you. You have authored books on it. Your wife has authored books on it. Are you able to go out and actually give talks on this type of thing as well?
Oh, absolutely. We do some speaking engagements, and we've written, I don't know, over 13, 14 books. We got a new book coming out called Offended, Deceived, Addicted. We have other resources, workbooks, like you said, groups that we do. Blogs, YouTube things. We have free resources. We have resources that involve us and the one-on-one attention you'll get with us. So it really, we try to make any and all resources available to anybody at any price point.
Absolutely, and also utilizing technology, teleconferencing, great way to speak with people in a very safe environment there as well. This was a journey that began for you personally. It is now a professional journey, yet it's always a personal journey. Do you continue to learn as you go along as well?
Oh, absolutely. Every day I come to work and I believe I'm going to learn something new. And I do, whether it be with a client or in a group setting. And I usually get an idea or I learn something from that. I write it down on a sticky note, and eventually I write a blog on it or a book on it, and it's like going to school. I learn something new every day.
Wonderful. Obviously, this has been rewarding for you. If we have somebody out there who is thinking about going this direction, little apprehensive, little nervous, what would you tell them?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people feeling called to become a counselor, which is great, but to really specialize in this, I think this sex addiction piece, intimacy, anorexia, is not really what I was looking for. It kind of found me, but I do believe whatever any career you're in, it's generally a good indicator that when it picks you, you're probably in the right career.
Great. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. Once again, their contact information is right there. We're scrolling across the screen, the website as well. Many services they offer there. Quite a few resources right there on the website as well, helping you through the journey of your own, maybe a partner that is with you. But like you said, it boils down to the question of both parties asking what it is that I can do to help out. And basically, this is It's a gentleman that began this as a personal journey in 2008, immersing himself really in an industry and writing about it, teaching others as well. located right here in Colorado Springs, offices in Denver, Colorado. Once again, that is Transformed Hearts Counseling Center. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.